Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us once again as we continue with Magic May, all 8 Harry Potter films.
Hello.
We are about to rock in to the 3rd film, Prisoner of Azkaban. Shall we do it, Toph?
I'd like to.
Let's do it. We're back. We made it through another film. 3 down, 5 to go. All right, let's rip into it. What do you think of that one?
It was better. I like the realistic start where we push in on the window of a 13-year-old boy and he's doing something under the covers. God knows what. But it's suspect.
We all know what.
We do all know what. Weird thing about the beginning of the film.
Yep.
So Harry's uncle's sister comes round.
Yeah, Marge.
If you're not Harry's cousin's parents, why would you think he's any good at all? But she's as enamored with him as they are. What's her deal?
Oh, Dudley. The way you worded that was so confusing. I thought you were saying she was enamored with Harry, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You mean Dudley?
Get with the program.
Yeah.
And then Harry goes full Willy Wonka on her.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Like, I know they try
Turns her into a blueberry.
I know they say that, like, she was found okay. No. Harry killed her.
Oh, look, there's no... You can't come back from that. Like, what are they going to do? Pop the air out of her? Her skin is going to be so stretched. There's no coming back from that. I mean, where did her bones go? Did her bones expand? Like, I just don't see there's any way that a body can recover from that kind of treatment.
She's dead. That leads, of course, to Harry running away from home.
Yeah.
Which doesn't last for very long because the bus of convenience finds him.
Which, to me, this is the worst sequence in the film. This was one of the only sequences I remembered about this film. This film is, I think, directed much better than the others on the whole, except for this sequence. I think it looks real bad.
There's some shots in that sequence which are really cool. There's some cool camera work there, actually. Like when old mate's putting the bus into gear and there's this cool little camera move that follows it. Like that was kind of cool. And it's better visual flair than the first 2 films have had. But just that sequence is just kind of whatever.
It's just real. I don't know. I don't like the voodoo head and the weird kind of cheesy music and the speeding up of the bus. Like,
sticking with public transport, we're then on a train where there's this point. Like Harry's like he's with his 2 mates, and he's like, "There's something I've got to tell you," and shuts the door and starts telling them something presumably quite secretive because he shut the door. But never mind that there's some rando on the chair next to him.
I didn't even notice that. Just another student?
No, old mate.
Oh, Lupin?
Yeah.
Just there in the carriage with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only is it like just some rando, it's a teacher as well. You wouldn't just go sharing secrets in front of teachers.
Of course not. Teachers, like we've touched on before, that they're pretty bad at their job.
Yes.
Haven't they just... The uniform standards are pretty lax.
I couldn't believe it. There's one point in the film where I turned to you and I'm like, wait, so Ron's a hipster now? He's sitting there wearing like a beanie with like the long dangly bits on the side, and he's wearing like a flannel.
But this is like, what, 2004?
Yeah.
Hipsters weren't around yet.
No, he was...
Unless...
he was OG hipster.
Ron the Weasel is the first hipster.
So what we've really established is that all hipsters since then are actually just trying to be the Weasel.
That's right. That's not Dumbledore.
Yeah, Dumbledore died, mate.
That's a shame.
Yeah, he got replaced. Well, I mean, he died.
Well, he did get replaced.
He did get replaced, but it's not like they were like, out you go, out with the old, in with the new. It was more like out with the dead, in with the living.
Sucks for them that Richard Harris died. And of course, if you're starting a series of films that you know is going to take you the better part of a decade to do, and you hire someone who's 160, how many ways was this ever going to go?
What do you make of new Dumbledore? Dumbledore 2.0? I
don't like Gambon's Dumbledore as much.
I feel, is Gambon American?
No.
He's got a very strange accent,
He does have a very distinctive voice, Michael
Yeah,
Gambon.
He does. I did prefer Harris. I do like Gambon's beard, though.
Oh, it's rocking.
I do aspire to have that one day when I'm older.
That would be awesome. Dumbledore is at least partially responsible for installing the worst security system ever in the Dementors.
Yeah, he's like, come on in, Nazgul.
Yeah. So the Nazgul are back, and they're there to protect people against a murderer who's on the loose, but be careful of them because they might murder you.
He literally pretty much says that. Like, at the first day of school, he calls everyone in the Great Hall. He's like, look, everybody, we've got these new guards. Just a heads up, they're a bit murdery. He says something about don't do anything to rub them the wrong way, but from the film, it seems like just being near them is rubbing them the wrong way.
Yeah.
So they're not great as terms of school security. You know, sure, a high security prison, sure. It makes sense that they rule Azkaban. Hogwarts, a high school? I don't think so.
Not a great call.
No. And he's just totally all right with it. He's like, oh, they won't come onto school grounds, though.
Pig's arse, they won't.
They do several times.
Ruin a perfectly good game of Quidditch, which, you know what? Gryffindor may have lost a game of Quidditch. That's why, like, when Harry wakes up and he's like, did we win the game? And, like, no one will say anything.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to even talk about the fact that Gryffindor finally lost.
Now, I have a question about Quidditch. Now, I would have assumed that, all right, imagine you're watching cricket and more than half of the game takes place outside of the stadium where you can't see it. That's just bad sportsmaning, isn't it? Like, wouldn't there be some kind of enchantment on the snitch that it stays within a certain amount of space of the grounds?
I feel like there should be some, like, a radius that it needs to adhere to.
Yeah. Like, I thought it was bad enough in the last film when it goes, like, under the seats and everything. But in this one, it seems to just travel kilometers from the stadium.
Yeah, it's like headed towards the stratosphere.
Yeah, and that's where he, gets intercepted by the Nazgul. But that just, like, and it's a cloudy day. The spectators won't see a thing. It's not like there's a Jumbotron. There are no cameras here. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me in terms of sport.
No, you're quite right.
I mean, I don't know a lot about sport.
But you know that much.
I know that much. I know that if I'm going to watch sport, I want to watch the sport.
You need to be able to see the sport.
I don't want, when I'm watching a game of baseball, I don't want the pitcher to be 3 kilometers away.
Though that would be a really good throw.
That'd be a great throw, actually.
Okay, the screenwriters and filmmakers done messed up at some point in this film where a student is instructed to turn something scary into something not scary, and instead this student turns something scary in the form of a giant snake into something utterly petrifying into a demented clown.
Yeah.
What?
And it's like,
the fuck?
Not only is it like it's a real messed up clown. It's like Pennywise 2.0, but even creepier, it's like, I don't know if it's quite a Jack-in-the-Box, but it has that weird springy neck. Yeah. So it keeps like
it is a demented Jack-in-the-Box.
It's like rocking back and forth, like coming really close to their faces. I would shit my pants.
Petrifying.
That is horrific. I'd much rather a snake. We also get Alan Rickman in drag.
We do? Oh, we do too.
We do.
Which also kind of scary. Speaking of Rickman, I could listen to him say 394 all day long.
Okay, let me help you out here. 394.
What was that meant to be?
I was doing Rickman for you.
Well, it's a good thing you told me you were doing that because it was certainly not apparent.
Severus Snape.
What is, like, in your head, does that sound like him?
No.
Okay, good.
I'm trying my best.
That was one of the greatest opening lines to a scene ever. Alan Rickman saying, turn to page 394. It's amazing.
I feel like we're finally starting to get some Orson Rickman. Like, he's always great, but I didn't feel like he was very memorable in the first two.
I've been on board with Rickman since the start of this.
Yeah?
This hurts me to say it. Emma Thompson's hippie professor, it's a bit much. And that pains me to say.
She's almost unrecognisable.
Unrecognisable in that it wasn't good, which for Emma Thompson is unrecognisable.
Speaking of the acting, though, the kids have gotten a lot better.
Yeah, they're improving.
Like, I think Ron, he's getting pretty good.
No, he's still in third place.
Really?
Yeah. He's no good. He's no good.
He was much better in this, though.
I agree. He was better than in the last film. But look, they're getting better.
They're getting much better. I'm curious to see where we go from here because, like I said, we're nearly at the halfway mark. But, we still got 5 years worth of growth for these kids.
Five years of acting class.
Surely they're going to get better.
Intensive acting class, I imagine.
Well, I would imagine so. Surely they weren't going to school at this point.
No, they would have been being tutored on set, I suppose. Well, probably not on set. They probably went back to a trailer or something, but...
Yeah, the trailer where Radcliffe was pulling all of his tail.
Yeah, exactly. Which he's doing none of in the film. He's become...
No.
He's
such
the third wheel.
Big time.
Poor Harry.
It is embarrassing. I mean...
I don't think he even knows.
I gotta say, the relationship stuff is kind of weird here. They try to do this thing where they make Ron and Hermione kind of bicker a little bit, like they don't like each other. But then they swing to them like canoodling, and I don't know, there's no real transition there. And then Harry just tries, there's that hilarious scene where something scares Hermione. Is that it? And she like jumps into Ron's arms, and then Harry just starts hugging
slides in. It's like, dude, get the hint.
Okay, so you said that you thought there was a little bit more visual flair in this.
Yeah, for sure. And like a lot of Cuarón long shots, actually.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Not flashy ones, but...
If you didn't know this was Cuarón, would you have guessed it was someone at that level?
Yeah, it's not like watching the visual style of Children of Men exactly, but you really do feel that you're in different hands from the first two films, don't you?
You do, definitely. This was the lowest rating at the box office, this one.
Really?
Which surprises me because this, in my opinion, is the best book. And so far, I think it's a pretty solid film. It's way more comprehensive than the first two. It's not like there's much less filler. It really follows a narrative, and there's some cool stuff in there.
It could still be shorter.
It could definitely be shorter. It's still over 2 hours. It's 2.5 hours still.
And there's still not, like, much of a plot. Like, really? How much actually happens in this movie? Not a lot.
Now that you've said that, that's a really good point. Why is it so long?
I don't know.
I didn't feel like there was much filler, but you're right. The plot itself feels like it could take place in an hour and a half.
Yep.
That's an interesting thought. Oh, at least we didn't get Dobby.
Yeah, there's a plus.
I do feel like there's some plot holes, though. Why is Hermione given the power to control time?
Yeah, and she was given it by Maggie Smith, wasn't she?
Yeah, who seems like the reasonable teacher. Maggie Smith is like, no, Harry, you can't come on this field trip because you don't have a signed note from your parents who we know neglect you.
That's
but
the
Hermione,
thing they choose to care about.
Have power over time. Go for it.
Okay.
And then Dumbledore's even like egging her on to use it at the end to like change things. Surely that's against the rules. She has it to attend extra classes, not to try change the past.
I think we've established there are no rules at Hogwarts.
That's true.
Malfoy's still a dick.
Yeah, there's a lot less of him in this film, though. Yeah. And man, his voice broke quick.
Harry's, I mean, it's great that Harry is willing to stand up to this little prick, but he needs a comeback book or something. Because at the moment, all he's got is, shut up, Malfoy.
Yeah, I know.
And then just stand there. Like, that's his whole move.
He may as well just your face is.
That would actually be a step in the right direction. Harry, something, Harry.
Yeah, he needs lessons from Hermione, who just straight out punches him in the face.
Yeah, well, we don't condone that.
Oh, don't we?
No, we don't condone violence.
Not even from Hermione?
Not from Hermione, not from anyone.
Okay.
Don't hit.
You mustn't hit.
Now, for anyone who knows how long all the Harry Potter films go for, you can't really... I mean, you could watch all 8 in a day.
I think we were overly optimistic when we thought we could.
I never thought we could. So all the Harry Potter films in a day would take like 19 hours.
Yeah.
Now, when you add in time on the microphone, really you're looking at like the better part of 24 hours, which I'm too old. I can't do that.
Yeah. We're way too old.
So we watched the first 3.
Yeah, we cheated.
It's now 7 a.m. in the morning on a day, and we're going to do the rest.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's 7 a.m. We've pre-ordered one of those giant meter diameter pizzas.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we won't regret that.
No, that's going to be great. We're just going to graze all day, mate. We'll be fed for lunch and dinner. Like all of our meals are sorted now.
Second lunch.
I don't plan to stop eating, to be honest.
Shock me.
And I mean, to top it all off, the last two are going to be a drinking game.
I'm going to start drinking well before that.
Shall we check out another one of our rules before we hop into Goblet of Fire?
Love to.
All right, this one comes to us from our good friends Justin and Chrissy over at So I Married a Movie Geek.
What's up, guys? It's Justin here from So I Married a Movie Geek for a drinking game rule. We've covered the Harry Potter films also on our podcast, which is very fun. But you guys are obviously doing it right. Drinking, alcohol involved with Harry Potter sounds like a great time. So the last two movies, Deathly Hallows 1, Deathly Hallows 2, there was two main things that were going on. There was lots of magic stuff, but there's also lots of crying. So we figured a great drinking game rule would be to take a drink, whatever, every time someone cries. So it happens a lot. I hope you guys are okay with that, and I hope your livers are okay with it. But Harry Potter, love the films, but those last two, especially the last one, just really touches me in the feels. Thanks for involving us, guys. We appreciate it, and good luck with those films. Thanks a lot.
I think if you cry, you have to finish your drink as well,
That's what
Billy.
I was going to say. Does it include people in the room, or is it only people in the movies? I do actually remember a lot of crying happening in because you haven't seen those ones.
Nope.
I do think there's a lot of crying going on. Shall we crack on with the fourth one?
Let's do that.
Let's do it. Alrighty. It's 9:45 and we got the fourth movie down, buddy.
Sure did.
These movies are long.
Aren't they just?
They're really, really long.
Which you'd think that in something as long as this, there might be a bit more, plot.
This movie, so I think we're definitely at the point now where it's shifting to become more adult. Would you agree?
This movie has a bit of everything.
Well, I feel like this has major tone problems. It swings between being a kids' movie to being American Pie.
It starts off with like skulls and horror and stuff. Then we have our American Pie segment where the kids are just trying to get dates. And then we swing back to our default setting of, are these teachers actively trying to kill these kids by putting them in these situations?
This is like Hogwarts version of like a school athletics carnival. Like, can you imagine if, every year for the athletics carnival, they send home the note to your parents and it's like, look, heads up, your kids might die.
Like, actually.
Yeah.
Arpats dies.
Like, at the very start, like, they're announcing this thing like it's a big fun thing, like, the Goblet of Fire, it's a Triwizard Tournament, and then Dumbledore's like, but you must know, it's very, very dangerous. Anyone who enters could die.
At the end of the film, Dumbledore's like, I've put you in danger, Harry. It's like, no shit. That's all you've done.
He said, I must apologize for putting you in danger this year. And it's like, this year?
That's your resting state is basically trying to kill these kids.
And not just Harry, apologize to the entire student body, Dumbledore. Like, everyone is on the verge of death at every moment they're at this school.
There was that challenge, the underwater challenge, where not only are the people who are competing for clearly not a Triwizard Cup, it's a Four-Wizard Cup. They keep calling it the Triwizard Cup, despite the fact there's four of them. It's like, not only are the competitors in mortal danger, now they've just plucked other students out to be like, also you might die. Yeah, and you don't even know that's coming. They're just like, in the night we stole something important from each of the champions, they call them, even though they're not champions. Yeah, they're competitors. Yeah, we just drugged these kids. Yeah, we stole something important, and then you find out that it's people they stole. It's like, that's not on. Yeah. We do meet Ralph Fiennes in this one, and we find out where Lupita Nyong'o got her voice from in Us. I am you. Do we find out why he doesn't have a nose? Or is that just to look weird?
I think it's just to look weird. Maybe it's to make him look a bit more snake-like.
Okay.
I'm more curious as to why he's a fetus at the start of this film.
It's creepy as.
It's really creepy. And when Wormtail dumps him in that pot, it's just a really weird-looking scene, just dumping this little fetus Voldemort into this bubbly... It's really strange.
It is genuinely creepy, actually.
Yeah.
I thought that at the beginning of this movie, when we have the Quidditch World Cup, which doesn't happen for shit, but I thought we were actually going to get a version of Quidditch where the action happens inside the stadium for once.
Oh, mate, the Wizards do not do spectator sports well, do they?
Nah, everything they do winds up either just not happening,
Yeah.
or all the action happens away from everyone watching.
Yeah. I mean, the first of the Triwizard challenges, the Dragon Challenge, who knows what's happening? They're all just sitting there in the stadium looking at nothing while Harry is chasing this dragon around the school, like ages away.
A dragon that tries to kill you every second, unless, of course, you're dangling from something and need 30 seconds to collect yourself, in which case the dragon will give you the exact amount of time you need to not die.
And that is arguably the most spectator-type sport we've seen, because the second challenge, the entire thing happens under the water. And then the third one is in this giant hedge maze. They just walk into the maze and the spectators have no idea what's going on. It's almost as interesting as spectators for watch as cricket.
Except it's not the greatest thing on earth. That's the key difference. It's weird. Like, the beginning of the film's kind of weird, where they're at the Quidditch World Cup, which doesn't go ahead because everything goes pear-shaped.
Oh, no, the Quidditch World Cup goes ahead. They watch the game, don't they? I think we just don't see the game. We see the competitors coming out.
But does the whole thing go ahead, or
I think it does.
Did it all just go pear-shaped when the Death Munchers turned up?
No, I think it goes ahead. I think the Death Eaters turn up while they're after the match, don't they?
Oh, okay, so that was just stuff that would have been interesting to see that we missed.
Yeah, which happens quite often in this film, I gotta say. There's a lot of bits where they skip forward.
Someone tries to blame Harry for what happened. It's like, there was a giant skull in the sky. Like, it was clearly not Harry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there were people in pointy hats. There was a bunch of evil going on. And then someone rolls up and is like, it was you. Fuck off.
And then we find out that the guy who accused him, his son is like one of the main Death Eaters.
God. Oh, yeah, the guy that looks like Hitler.
Yeah. Hitler-looking dude. Bartimus Crouch? Is it Bartimus?
I don't know.
I feel like it's Bartimus, but saying that out loud makes me feel really silly.
Harry and Ron look terrible in this film.
Oh, their hair.
It's like they turn up, and this is a thing with actors in films. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about here. You're instructed to just grow your hair out, turn up, and then they give you whatever haircut. It's like they grew the hair out, turned up, and they were like, yeah, spot on. Just go with that manky mop you've got there. That's bang on.
I mean, in their defense, this movie came out in 2005, and I'm thinking back to my hair in 2005 when I would have been, I mean, I was slightly older than the characters are meant to be, but I think I'm about the age that the actors were. In 2005, I would have been 17.
But they don't have frosted tips.
They don't have frosted tips, but see, I had the frosted tips in 2001.
All right.
By about 2003, 2004, I had Ron's hair. Definitely. Like, I looked like a numpty. Like, I look back now and I'm like, what are you doing, mate? But yeah, after the frosted tips, I went with the full Ron.
These things are set in a school, and of course kids are the worst. But when the not Triwizard Cup is going on and people have like Potter stinks badges and stuff, it's like, hang on. Harry Potter is, like, if this was Friday Night Lights, Harry Potter would be the championship winning quarterback. By this point. Like, he is the hero of the school.
He was famous before he was even at school.
How are you people like, ew, boo Potter?
Yeah.
He's clearly the best person there. What is, like...
Oh, no, mate, you know who the best person there is? Cedric fucking Diggory.
Actually, Cedric's pretty great.
He's a champion. He is a legit champion. He's attractive as all get out. Like, I'll be the first to say it. Arpats is a good-looking dude. And he's just a nice dude. Like, he's doing all the right things here. He's not wearing a Potter stinks badge.
No, he's not.
He's clearly the best person in the school.
Yeah. So he gets killed.
But I mean, even the fact, like, why is Harry competing in the tournament? Like, someone from the Ministry of Magic comes out and says no one under 17 can compete. What he really means is, if you're under 17, don't put your name in the cup.
But if your name comes
But
out,
if your name comes out,
we'll let you.
yeah. And if for some reason, even though it's a Triwizard tournament, if your name just happens to come out fourth, you're legally obliged to compete.
What?
So silly.
They just jump at the opportunity to put someone in mortal danger again. They're like, oh, yep, that's our MO. I thought Cedric was a pretty good character. Yeah. Not like that creeper of the guy who is at least 17. And we know he's at least, he could be older than 17.
Well, he could be. I mean, he's in the national team at the Quidditch World Cup,
And
which I question a student being, the best seeker in the world at the Quidditch World Cup. But
it could be like gymnasts. They can be awfully good, awfully young.
that's true. I mean, maybe it's like college basketball.
Yeah, there could be a pro league.
Yeah, maybe.
But he takes Hermione to the dance.
Yeah.
Now, if you were 17 and asked out a 14-year-old, you'd be rightly given shit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a weird thing to do. Is he only doing that because of the newspaper article that says that she's into him? Is that why he did it?
I think it's just because he's a general creeper.
It's really, really weird, the fact that he does that. But, I mean, even that being said, like, how old is Cho? Because Arpats must be 17, and he takes Cho to the ball.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Is that maybe Arpats isn't the champion we thought he was?
We don't know how old Cho is.
Well, that's true. I just assumed she was around Harry's age.
She's just turned up in this movie along with a bunch of other people to diversify the class.
Yeah,
because,
it's weird.
Like, to begin with, all the class, everyone attending Hogwarts, it was like white as a clan rally. And now, thankfully, they're like, oh, it's possible that more than white people can do magic.
Yeah, but it's okay. We'll still racial stereotype.
Oh.
We'll still have a weird Russian stereotype. And the Irish team, giant leprechaun in the sky.
Because Irish.
Because Irish.
They weren't Russian, they were Bulgarian.
Oh, I'm the one stereotype.
But because they were just like, oh, yeah, whatever, just Eastern Bloc.
Yeah.
Everyone looks like Creed 2.
So this is our first. Is this the first one directed by David Yates?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, and he does the rest. I thought the direction was getting there. I feel like this is probably the best directed film of the ones we've watched so far.
I've got no beef with the. Oh no, I think I'm still with my man Cuarón in terms of the actual filmmaking.
Oh, but that's only because you love Cuarón.
Well, yeah, because I've got a brain. But yeah, like the filmmaking itself in this film, no beef at all. Still, again, a very good looking film.
Yeah, and I reckon that there would be a vast percentage of people out there, like a certain age group, where the openings of these films, the dun, 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 with the Harry Potter kind of logo appearing in the sky, there's a subset of people out there where that would be as recognizable and as well known as the Star Wars openings.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. Like, I reckon for people probably even my age or younger, probably from 5 years younger than me to, now.
You might be like pretty
I might
much
be like the cutoff for Star Wars. And I think people younger than me, this would be more recognizable.
But you know what Star Wars has that Harry Potter doesn't?
What?
A plot.
Sometimes to its detriment. I mean, the prequels get really politics heavy.
Hey, it's the best stuff.
You'd be happy if they just got rid of the lightsabers and just spent the whole time talking about term agreements.
It should not be called Star Wars. It should just be called trade negotiations. That should be all it is. Because, honestly, this film only exists to introduce Voldemort.
I mean, it's...
doesn't it? Am I wrong?
Okay, so let's try break down the plot. This at least, I would say, follows a story more than the previous films. The previous really jump around, like, now they're playing Quidditch, now they're doing this, now they're doing that. Like, it really just follows a school year. This, at least, the whole thing is about the Triwizard Tournament.
But that's actually completely incidental. Like, the Triwizard Tournament doesn't actually matter.
Well,
in the end.
Except that the whole Triwizard Tournament is a ploy to get Harry to... But here's the thing. So the Triwizard Tournament, the whole thing about it is done by Mad-Eye Moody to get Harry to touch the cup.
But not really him.
Well, yeah, not really.
And can I just say, I love that Brendan Gleeson's here, because...
Yeah.
Yay, Brendan Gleeson.
Oh, he sticks around, by the way, too. Like real Mad-Eye Moody, not fake one.
Sweet.
So the whole thing is engineered by him so that Harry will win, touch the cup, and transport to the graveyard. Am I correct?
That sounds right.
Why? Like, why couldn't Mad-Eye Moody just make a book the portkey and just hand the book to Harry? Boom, he's in the graveyard.
Sure.
Like, why did he need to get him to
This seemed like a lot more work.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And then they do, like, at the end of this, there's another. They just go full Bond villain. It's like, well, we could just kill Harry.
I don't know, mate. Voldemort did actually try to kill him.
He should have already been dead. Not Wormtongue has already killed Arpats.
Yeah, that's true. He killed him pretty quickly.
Like, you've got Harry locked up. Kill him.
I mean, realistically, yeah. I mean, because Wormtail could have just slit Harry's throat to get blood.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
They're terrible villains.
They are pretty rubbish villains. But he did do the killing curse on him. He just wasn't successful. Again, for the second time. Yeah, do you reckon a wizard would... Well, I mean, Wormtail just used a knife.
Yeah.
I'm sure there would have been a spell to get blood out.
They're just crap at their job.
They must use knives. Do you reckon they'd ever use a gun?
No, I think that'd be a bit beneath them.
Quite
not unlike Obi-Wan in the prequels. So uncivilized.
I mean, I also question just the rules in general. Like, none of these things seem to have consistent rules. Like, he says he's not allowed to use a broom for the Dragon Challenge, but he is allowed to use a broom as long as he doesn't take it in there to begin with. How is that any different? Like, he can't carry it in there with him, but he can walk in there and say, come here, broom, and it's all good.
I don't know.
None of these things have consistent rules. It's really weird. And I know I'm the Harry Potter fan of it, so I've read all the books multiple times, but in my old age, I've got a terrible memory, and I don't remember. This is all new to me. I got no idea what's going on.
Should we crack on?
I reckon we should. Shall we hear another rule before we get into it?
Let's do that.
All right, this one comes to us from our very good friends over at Film Snuff. Great podcast. Let's hear what they have to say.
Hey, We Watched a Thing listeners. This is Keating Thomas from Film Snuff. Billy and Topher, you asked me and my co-host Jim to come up with some Harry Potter drinking game rules. Number 1, drink every time there is infighting between the 3 friends, Harry, Hermione, and Ron. Number 2, and this one might give you alcohol poisoning, every time someone casts a spell, take a drink. That always reminds me of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. But yeah, Harry Potter, very original film. And last but not least, number 3, drink every time you guys think Hermione is hot but won't admit it out loud. Okay, so good luck, guys. Your listeners can find our show at filmsnuff.com, at filmsnuff on all social media, and we're in all the apps. One more thing. When is Beth gonna accept my marriage proposal? Okay, good luck, guys.
What's these rules? Didn't you ask people for a rule, Billy? You don't get 3.
I'll tell you what, he can have 2. All right. We won't drink every time someone casts a spell because that's pretty frequent. All right.
As for the infighting?
As for the infighting, Jesus, there was a lot of that in this movie.
Oh,
that was pretty much the plot, really.
The Weasel was just being a turd, but then that just stopped.
And as for the third rule, I mean, I won't have to drink because I openly admit that I find Hermione attractive.
You shouldn't openly admit it.
Yeah, see, you're going to have to drink the whole time because you just won't openly say it.
Because I'm not attracted to 14-year-olds. You creepy prick.
Shall we crack on?
Oh, well, I need some ratings for the last couple of films from you.
Oh, right. Okay. These were both pretty good films, I got to say. Like, I feel like we're on an upward trend. I think this is going to certainly be a better day than Furious Timber. I'm giving the third movie a 6, and this one also a 6.
I'll give the third one a 6, largely for the Cuarón of it. That one can have a 4.
Oh, mate.
It wasn't very... It's not terrible, but...
I feel like you're in for a rougher day than I am. At least there's only one more movie before we can crack out some drinks.
I'm going to start drinking before that.